Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rev It Up Podcast, episode 18. Now, I'm Caden Holton, and on episode 18 now, the driver for episode 18 will be in memory of Kyle Busch, who drove number 18 for many years for Joe Gibbs Racing. Not really a dirt track name, but he did drive cars at the Tulsa Shootout, those little midgets, so that's who episode 18 is for. In episode 18, we'll look at results from the Flow Racing Night in America from Fairbury, the fair races from Fayette County, as well as the fair races from Hamilton County, as well as weekly racing from the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, and races from Deer Creek Speedway and Winneshiek Raceway. Mason City did not race this week as they took the weekend off. Let's get into Rev It Up now. Are you looking for speed on the track? Well, I have a solution for you, and that solution is Ragex. Get a hold of Harley Dice or Jake Tim today. They make B mods and A mods, and the best thing about Ragex is they don't just give you your car and send you off. They give you technical support with everything you need, and they're racers too. They'll help you throughout the season. So find your speed with Ragex chassis. You can find them at Ragex on Facebook. Long ways out from now, folks, but put on your calendar, September 6th, the Tri-State Late Models will invade the Cresco Speedway along with the USRA Modifieds Racing for $1,000 to win. That's all at the Cresco Speedway, and racing along with them are other USRA classes racing for national points. That's all at the fastest track in Northeast Iowa. See you at the races. If you are a driver and want to be interviewed on Rev It Up's Under the Helmet, get a hold of me on Rev It Up's Facebook page, message me there, and we'll get you interviewed on Rev It Up's Under the Helmet. Or if you are a fan and you would like to see your favorite driver interviewed on Rev It Up's Under the Helmet, get a hold of your favorite driver and let them know to get a hold of me on Rev It Up on Facebook. Let's get into Rev It Up's first results now from the Fairbury Speedway in Fairbury, Illinois. Hudson O'Neill from Martinsville, Indiana, picked up the win, up 2 positions in the Rumley number 6. Right behind him was Josh Rice out of Crittington, Kentucky, in the Ratliff 11R. Shannon Babb as the crowd goes from Milwaukee, Illinois, coming home 3rd, and Jason Feger from Bloomington, Illinois will come home 4th. B. Shep, Brandon Shepard from New Berlin, Illinois will come home 5th, up 3 spots, and RTJ, Ricky Thornton Jr. out of Chandler, Arizona, now living in Indianola, Iowa, up 10 positions to finish 6th. The mailman, Devin Moran, will finish 7th out of Dresden, Ohio, and behind him would be Ryan Unzicker out of El Paso, Illinois, up 11 spots to finish 8th. The smooth operator, Bobby Pierce out of Oakwood, Illinois, with a hard charge up through the field, up 15 spots to finish 9th. And rounding out the top 10 will be Ethan Dotson out of Bakersfield, California, up 8 spots. Moving on to the Fayette County Fair Race results, picking up the win in the USRA Hobby Stocks will be the B4 of Junior Boyer from Kelmer, up 4 positions. Behind him in the 808 out of Waukon will be Chance Hillman, up 5 spots. Out of Ionia, Iowa, coming home 3rd will be Ryan Crooks in the 15R, and coming home 4th, up 9 spots, coming from the back of the field, will be Darrell Moss. Aaron Klempe out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, come home 5th, and Scott Spiley from Cresco, Iowa, come home 6th. Corey Fells from Kilmer, Iowa, come home 7th, up 5 spots in the OOB, and Benji Irvine from Owine, Iowa, an IMCA runner, will get a top 10 run in 8th. Trevor Mitz out of Claremont, up 5 spots to finish 9th, and Quinton Miller out of Independence will finish 10th. A heck of a stock car race in the USRA Hobby Stocks between Waukon, Iowa's Brady Link and Decorah, Iowa's Mitch Hovden, but ultimately Mitch Hovden would prevail in victory for yet another fair race win as he pulled off the hat trick, winning at the mighty Howard County Fair, the Winneshiek County Fair, and now the Fayette County Fair did Mitch Hovden. So he pulled off the hat trick for the area in Northeast Iowa County Fairs, and Brady Link will come home 2nd. Kevin Donlin out of Decorah up 5 spots to get 3rd. Jackson Vitechka out of Fort Atkinson, Iowa, come home 4th, and Taylor Donlin out of Decorah, Iowa, up 8 spots to get 5th. Drew Keeker out of Stanley will get 6th. Cody Torkelson out of Elgin will finish 7th. Troy Hansmeyer out of Waukon up 4 spots to get 8th, and the veteran Darren Duffy driving the Hall of Fame car, it seems like. The 88 out of Urbana, Darren Duffy will finish 9th, and Lim Punish will round out the top 10. Watching the USRA B mods would make you think that you were in line at the drive-thru at White Castle to pick yourself up a White Castle slider, but no, you were in the bleachers at the Fayette County Speedway watching Troy Hovey and Cole Denner throw some sliders at one another. Ultimately, Troy Hovey would come home victorious of 5 positions out of Fayette, Iowa, as the Rocket was victorious in the 476X. Behind him and Cole Denner in the 36 out of Ionia will come home second, and Dale Schwaman out of Fort Atkinson, Iowa, will come home third. Ben Modry out of Protivin will come home fourth, up 5 positions in the Brian Schrage-owned 85, and coming home fifth, Ashton Pankow out of Elma will come home fifth. Keegan Eink out of Decorah, Iowa, will come home sixth. Braden Schaffenbiel will come home seventh. Travis Scholbrock out of West Union will come home eighth. Tim Hines out of Waukon will come home ninth. Ty Maserud out of Waukon will round out the top 10. Solid run for Ty Maserud, driving an eco mod with the B mods. USRA Tuner saw Dylan Reilly out of Waukon pick up the victory, and Landon Johnson also from Waukon right behind him. Nolan Lurch out of West Union will come home third. Tom Kessel coming home fourth, up 2 positions. Drentry Brever from Fredericksburg, Iowa will come home fifth, and Dalton Fells out of Kelmer will round out the top 6. Perry Kessel had unfortunate luck as he broke a tie rod, and that sent him head on into the wall. Luckily, he was okay there, as that was a hard crash. But Dylan Reilly, with his win, he's got his fishing pole out now, reeling Perry Kessel in the national points race, as well as Dalton Fells. Perry Kessel says he'll get his car back ready to go, and he is still going to chase national points. Good thing Perry Kessel's all right, and we're pulling for Perry Kessel and Dylan Reilly against all the rest of the national competitors. Mod Light results at the Fayette County Speedway. Chad Dugan from Garber will pick up the win. Behind him will be Owen Rosberg from Arlington, up 3 spots. Jacob Steer from Tripoli, Iowa, will come home third. Matt Dales from Owine will come home fourth. Logan Hunley from Cresco, Iowa, will come home fifth. You can watch his interview on the Rev It Up's Under the Helmet series right now. Holden Teff will come home 6th out of Marion. You can also watch his interview along with Logan Hunley on the Rev It Up's Under the Helmet, as they did a combined episode on Rev It Up's Under the Helmet. Go watch that interview right after this episode of Rev It Up. Hamilton County Fair results from the first night, Wednesday night. You would think you were in a casino because Harley Dice was rolling the dice. Out of Winona, Minnesota, Harley Dice up 3 spots to pick up the victory. Alex Williamson out of Rushford will come home second. Lyle Sadloff out of Sherburne, Minnesota will come home third, up 3 spots. And Happy Texas's Rodney Sanders will come home fourth. Jason Haney out of Webster City, Iowa will come home fifth, up 2 spots. And Greg Elliott out of Stanhope will come home sixth. Ben Nading out of Ankeny, Iowa will come home 7th, and Lee Beamer out of Fairmont will come home 8th. Robert Bennett out of Woodstock, Iowa will come home 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be Dylan Wedges from Mason City, Iowa. You can say, hot damn, it's Pat Graham picking up the Ironman win at the Hamilton County Fair, as Ankeny, Iowa's Pat Graham picks up the win, up 3 spots. Jason Koster out of Liberty, Missouri will come home 2nd. Travis Shipman, near national point leader, will come home 3rd. Elma's Iowa Hare Nation, Brandon Hare will come home 4th, up 4 spots. And Andrew Inman out of Mason City, Iowa, up 6 spots to come home 5th. Chance Hollins from Clear Lake, Iowa, up 13 to come home 6th. And Miles McHale out of Fort Dodge will come home 7th. Grenada, Minnesota's Derek Green in the Mean Green Machine will come home 8th. And Jalen Wettengill in the Purple Machine will come home 9th, up 7 spots. Bill Crimmins out of Fort Dodge will round out the top 10, up 7 spots. The streak has been broken. Decorah, Iowa's Dan Hovden was in a heck of a battle with Winona, Minnesota's Harley Dice, but Dice got the better end of Hovden, and Hovden's winning streak has been broken for now, as Harley Dice out of Winona, Minnesota, up 6 spots to pick up the win in the 2187H. To pick up the win at the Hamilton County Fair. Behind him will be Decorah, Iowa's Dan Hovden, Stu Bob in the 16. Trevor Fecht out of Allison will come home 3rd, and Doug McCullough out of Webster City 4th. Ty Griffith out of Blairsburg will up 3 spots to come home 5th, and Kyle Anderson out of Decorah up 3 spots to get 6th. Clay Beamer out of Fairmont, Minnesota up 8 spots to get 7th, and Taylor Skauge out of the big city of Caledonia, Minnesota will finish 8th. Logan Smith from El Dorado Springs, Missouri will finish 9th, and Oliver Saka will round out the top 10 from Pearson, Iowa. USRA Hobby Stock winner in the 43 is Jade Lang from Humboldt, Iowa, up 5 spots. Behind him will be the money man of Joshua Munson out of Clear Lake. Tanner Green out of Hampton will come up 5 spots to get 3rd, and Riley Crimmins out of Fort Dodge will finish 4th, up 7 spots. Jeremy Wagner out of Grettinger will finish 5th, and Jacob Monson out of Clear Lake, Iowa will finish 6th. Scott Doble out of Manly 7th. Brandon Schur out of Gardner will finish 8th. David Gilliland out of Fort Dodge will finish 9th, and Tyler Crimmins out of Fort Dodge will round out the top 10. Well, you can see at the Hamilton County Fair, they rolled the dice, and they rolled the perfect numbers both nights for Harley Dice, as he picks up the win both nights at the Hamilton County Fair. Winona, Minnesota's Harley Dice is victorious in the 87H. Behind him is the Iceman out of Rushford, Minnesota. That will be Alex Williamson, and Mr. KS himself out of Albert Lee. Kevin Stowe will come home 3rd, up 2 spots. Greg Elliott out of Stanhope 4th. Lyle Sathoff out of Sherburne, Minnesota will come home 5th. Ben Nading out of Ankeny 6th. Lee Beamer out of Fairmont 7th. Tristan Versbury out of Webster City 8th. Damon Elliott will come home 9th, and Robert Bennett will come home 10th. Rain on Thursday struck the stock car feature about 5 laps into it, but they did make it up this Sunday. But the winners were Derek Green out of Grenada, Minnesota in the Green Machine. Scott Olson out of Blairsburg, Iowa, come home 2nd. Brandon Hare out of Elma 3rd. Miles McHale up 10 spots to get 4th. Rodney Schweizer out of Kansas City will come home 5th. Bill Crimmins will come home 6th. Reed Keller will come home 7th. Jalen Wettengill 8th. Todd Staley, Mr. El Presidente will come home 9th, and Doug Keller will round out the top 10 up 12 spots. Stu Bob, Dan Hovden will get the win out of Decorah on the Thursday night portion, and then behind him will be Winona, Minnesota's Harley Dice, as he had a spin out halfway through the feature as he came up through the field back to 2nd. Good run for Harley. Jake Richards will come home 3rd out of Lansing, Kansas, your national point leader right now. Stephen Clancy out of Odessa, Missouri will come home 4th. Taylor Skauge with the hard charge through the field will come up 10 spots to get 5th. Duke Erickson out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota will get 6th. Logan Smith out of El Dorado Springs, Missouri will get 7th, and Trevor Fecht out of Ellison, Iowa will finish 8th. Briar McCoy out of Webster City up 2 spots to get 9th, and Oliver Socket out of Pearson will round out the top 10. Did you see the money? Because the money man picks up the USRA Hobby Stock win. Zach Smith out of Manly will come home 2nd, up 5 spots. Tyler Crimmins out of Fort Dodge will come home 3rd. Riley Crimmins will come home 4th. Tanner Green will come home 5th, up 4 spots. Brandon Schur will come home 6th. Jade Lang 7th. David Gillen 8th. And Jacob Monson will round out the field in 9th. USRA Hobby Stock results from the Jackson Motorplex. The Grand Meadow Speed Lap entry of the 47P of Parker Anderson of Welcome, Minnesota will pick up the victory. Behind him will be Jeremy Wagner in the 7J out of Grettinger. Dylan Fitzpatrick out of Esterville will come home 3rd. Nick Brady 4th. Blake Sheikoff out of Elvert, Iowa will come home 5th. Josh Bradley out of Harrisonburg, South Dakota will come home 6th. Chase Overgaard out of Laverne, Minnesota will come home 7th. Jonathan Hines 8th. Tate Herzern out of Redwood Falls, Minnesota, come home 9th, and Brian Taylor will round out the top 10 out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Stock car results from the Plex. Daniel Ekblad out of St. Peter, Minnesota, up 7 spots to pick up the win. Luke Saloff out of Jackson will come home 2nd. Gavin Bussinger out of Grenada will come home 3rd. Levi Vanderways out of Harrisonburg, South Dakota will come home 4th, up 5 spots. Chad Overgaard out of Laverne, Minnesota will come home 5th. Connor Overgaard out of Laverne will come home 6th, up 10 spots. Justin DeBoer will come home 7th, up 6 spots. Logan Duvgolmer out of Fairmont, Minnesota, up 9 spots to pick up the 8th place finish. Nathan Roger out of Sanborn, Minnesota will come home 9th, and Chance Larson will be round out your top 10. USRA modified results from the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. After the DQ of Jake Tim, picking up the win will be the Iceman of Alex Williamson. Behind him will be Keith Foss out of Winona, Minnesota. Landon Volkman will come home third. Good run for Landon. Brad Waits out of Rochester will come home fourth, up 3 spots. Nick Overoth out of Mason, Wisconsin will come home fifth. And Lance Murray out of El Centro, California will come home sixth. Harley Dice out of Winona, Minnesota, up 6 spots to finish 7th. Sean Walski out of Rolling Stone will finish 8th. Josh Angst out of Winona will finish 9th. And rounding out the top 10 will be out of Hayfield, Taylor Osrud out of Hayfield, Minnesota. Colby Gopel picks up your hobby stock win out of Britt. Dakota Koenig will come home second. Caden Helly out of Garnerville up 5 spots to come home third. Max Jones out of Waterville, Iowa will come home fourth. Travis Krause out of Buffalo City, Wisconsin will come home fifth, up 8 spots. And Dan V out of Colfax will come home fourth, up 4 spots. Ryan Hoppe out of Holman, Wisconsin will come home seventh. Steve Dwyer out of La Crosse will come home eighth, up 6 spots. Gary Nemechek out of Byron, Minnesota will come home ninth. Kevin Hager will round out the top 10. Ecomon results. Tony Bloom picks up the win. Behind him will be Cody Rain, as he was making a rain, you could say, coming home second. Robert Michaels out of Decorah will come home third. Grady Dunbar out of Winona coming home fourth. Brent Schwark out of Holman coming home fifth. Dawson Keebler from Decorah coming home sixth. Kylie Kajos out of Winona coming home seventh, up 5 spots. And Mike and Iverson back down to the Eco Mods coming home eighth. Alex Van Pelt out of Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin coming home ninth. And Robert Carpenter rounding out the top 10. USRA stock car results from the Chateau Speedway. Brady Williamson out of Rushford coming home with the victory. Travis Shipman out of Mason City coming home second. Braden Jerry out of Mabel coming home third. Brandon Hare out of Elma coming home fourth. Stacy Kronberg out of Walters coming home fifth. Andrew Eichens out of Teope coming home sixth, up 4 spots. Chris Toot out of Albert Lee coming home seventh. Ross Spitzer out of Blooming Prairie up 4 spots to come home eighth. Ben Peterson out of Sway City, Iowa, up 6 spots to get ninth. And Mike Meyer rounding out the top 10 and 10th. USRA hobby stock results from the Chateau Speedway. Tim Hovey picking up the win out of Cresco, Iowa in the last minute Motorsports 89. Behind him, no slouch, Parker Anderson out of Welcome, Minnesota, up 5 spots. Terry Quam out of Cresco will come home third, and the money man Joshua Munson will come home fourth. Jason Newkirk out of Austin will come home fifth, up 10 spots. Ryan Gergelson out of Stacyville, Iowa, up 13 to come home sixth. Jacob Monson out of Clear Lake will come home seventh. Andy Kronberg out of Bryceland, Minnesota will come home eighth. Jack Paulson from Morrisville, Minnesota will come home ninth. And Brandon Schur will round out the top 10. The Jet Sorensen picking up the win in the B mods. Behind him will be Noah Grinstead out of Austin. The Jackson Hale coming home third, up 9 spots. Jamie Hiller out of Waseca will come home fourth. Jared Bursmer out of Waseca coming home fifth, up 5 spots. Riley Grinstead coming home sixth. Kyle Kletchka out of Austin will come home seventh. Michael Wojtaski will come home eighth. Jeremy Milsgen will come home ninth. And Mark Wojtaski will come home 10th. Eco-mod results from the Chateau Speedway. The youngster Dustin Freddy out of Graham Meadow will pick up the win, up 3 spots. Daryl Henka out of Wanamingo will come home second, up 5 spots. Tony Holm out of Prior Lake, up 3 spots to come home third. Ray Hastings will come home fourth out of Austin. Nick Neishus out of Longsdale will come home fifth. Tyron Freezy out of Zambroto come home sixth. In the Donlin Race Wraps entry in the 119, Braden Batterson out of Decorah will come up 3 spots to get 7th. Braden McFarland will come home 8th out of Austin. Luke Henkel will finish 9th, and Bentley Ramsey out of Faribault will come home 10th. Moving on to Saturday night, the Deer Creek Speedway results. Christopher Dino picking up his first win since 2024. A fiery incident ended his season last year, and he said all he walked away with was a steering wheel and a seat after that fiery rollover on the front stretch at the Fall Jamboree. Cody Meyer with a good run, finishing second out of New Albin. Jamie Hiller out of Waseca finished third. Caden Kath, driving Isaac Shaw's car out of Ellendale, will finish fourth. Jet Sorensen up 6 spots to finish fifth. Mason Stackhausen out of Minnesota City will finish sixth. Noah Grinstead will finish seventh. Jackson Hale eighth. Billy Steinberg back in the seat after having a young one will finish ninth. Kyle Klechka up 3 spots to round out the top 10. USRA stock cars make it 6 in a row for Braden Jerry out of Mabel, Minnesota. The long shot isn't such a long shot anymore, as Braden Jerry came up 7 positions to pick up the feature win at the Deer Creek Speedway. Braden Brower led over half the race, but couldn't quite hold off Jerry, as Brower would have to settle for second. Levi Sand out of Caledonia will finish third, up 2 spots. Jesse Brown will finish fourth. Travis Shipman, your national points leader, finished fifth. Ross Spitzler out of Blooming Prairie, Minnesota, up 4 spots to finish sixth. Jake James in the Jake James built own car will finish seventh. Brady Williamson out of Rushford will finish eighth, up 4 spots. Corey Adams out of Stacyville will finish ninth, and Blake Cole, after going for a spin early, will rebound to finish 10th, up 3 positions. USRA Hobby Stock results saw the Money Man go to victory lane to make it 2 in a row for Munson. Munson up 3 positions, as a charging Luke Schuler couldn't quite get to Munson, as Schuler was up 1 position. Caden Helly, all the way from the Garnavillo area, will finish third. Oliver Munson out of Thornton, Iowa, will finish fourth. Jason Newkirk out of Austin will finish fifth. Max Jones out of Waterville will finish sixth. The Ryland Curtin Mobile will finish seventh. Garrett Nemechek will finish eighth. Seth Meyer will finish ninth, and Gavin Bartell will round out the top 10. USRA modified results saw the Dominator Jim Chisholm pick up the win, up 3 positions, and Rodney Sanders, the Rocket, coming home second out of Happy, Texas, up 3 spots as well. Brad Waits out of Rochester will finish third, up 6 spots, and Zach Brom in the Grand Meadow Speed Lab entry will finish fourth. Nick Murgick's stellar season continues, up 7 spots to finish sixth, and Keith Foss with a good season will finish sixth, up 4 spots. Caden Nicious out of Hastings, Minnesota will finish 7th, and Lance Mario out of El Centro, California will finish 8th. Charlie Steinberg out of Zumbrota, Minnesota will finish 9th, up 2 spots, and Tammy Soma Clark out of Rochester will round out the top 10. Saturday results from the Hamilton County Fair races. Derek Green will pick up yet another win, and right behind him will be Brandon Hare, up 5 positions. Hare Nation coming in second. Scott Olson out of Blairsburg will come home third, and Gavin Bussinger out of Grenada will come home fourth. Reed Keller out of Webster City up 12 spots to get fifth, and Miles McHale, the Missile, out of Fort Dodge will finish sixth, up 8 spots. Ronnie Schweizer out of Kansas City, Kansas will finish 7th, and Bill Crimmins out of Fort Dodge will finish 8th. El Presidente Todd Staley out of Webster City will finish 9th, and Austin Kaplan, an IMCA runner, will finish 10th. Ty Griffith gets back to his dominating ways out of Blairsburg, up 3 spots to pick up his yet another win at the Hamilton County Speedway in Webster City. Oliver Sockett will rebound out of kind of a disappointing weekend up to second. Doug McCullough out of Webster City will finish third. Stephen Clancy out of Odessa, Missouri will finish fourth. Brian McCoy out of Webster City, Iowa will finish fifth. Rocky Cottle out of Ellsworth, Iowa will finish sixth, up 4 spots. Jake Richards out of Lansing, Kansas will finish 7th. Jason Propnock out of Zimmerman, Minnesota will finish 8th. George Gillen out of Lehigh, Iowa will finish 9th. And Harley Dice out of Winona, Minnesota will round out the top 10. Harley Dice keeps off the week sweep out of Winona, Minnesota, gets yet another win at the Hamilton County Speedway in the modified. Jaden Fuller out of Memphis, Missouri will come home second. Alex Williamson, the Iceman out of Rushford, will come home third. Lyle Saloff out of Sherburne will come home fourth. Greg Elliott out of Star Hope, Iowa will come home fifth. Ben Nading out of Ankeny, Iowa will come home sixth. Damon Elliott out of Webster City, 7th. Jason Purvis out of Boone, Iowa will come home 8th. And Robert Bennett will round out the runners on the track in 9th. Riley Crimmins will pick up the USRA Hobby Stock win out of Fort Dodge, up 6 spots. Scotty Doble will come home 2nd. Tanner Green out of Hampton will come home 3rd. Parker Anderson will come home 4th, up 2 spots. Brandon Schur out of Gardner will come home 5th, as Tyler Crimmins out of Fort Dodge will come home 6th. Zach Smith out of Manly will come home 7th. Jake Blue will come home 8th. David Gilden 9th, and John Satter out of Smithville, Missouri will round out the top 10. The World of Outlaw Prairie Dirt Classic saw Brandon Shepard pick up the win. Hudson O'Neill in the Rumley number 6 saw him charge up 16 spots to 2nd. The Smooth Operator of Bobby Pierce up 11 to 3rd. Nick Hoffman up 15 to 4th. Tim McCready up 18 to 5th. Jason Fager will finish 6th. Gordy Gundaker up 9 to 7th. Tyler Erb will finish 8th. Ryan Gusson up 6 to 9. And Ethan Dotson up 14 spots to round out the top 10. Results from the Winneshiek Raceway: Kyle Anderson in his 98B model will pick up the win. Nathan Butterfield will come home second. Ashton Pank out of Elma will come home third. Dale Schwaman out of Fort Atkinson will come home fourth. Adam Roach out of La Crescent, Minnesota, up 2 spots to get fifth. Taylor Skauge out of Caledonia finished sixth. And Stu Bob Dan Hovden out of Decorah finished seventh. Chad Helverson out of Decorah finished eighth. Braden Schaffenbiel ninth. And Philip Eady will round out the top 10. Steve Larson picks up the win in the hobby stocks. And behind Larson there in the hobby stocks will be Scott Spilly out of Cresco, Iowa. Joshua Ludeking will come home third. Ryling Crooks will come home fourth. Junior Boyer fifth. Arthur Schott sixth. Chris Dahl up 4 spots to finish seventh. Michael Miner will come home eighth. Steve Dwyer will come home ninth. And rounding out the top 10 will be Braden Wilker in the 10th spot. Mitch Hovden picks up the win, and your USRA stock cars up 5 spots. Behind him will be the 67 of Kyle Falk. Chris Hovden with a good run will finish third. Jason Schlang in the 27S will finish fourth. Taylor Skauge in the 32 stock car will finish fifth. Troy Hansmeyer in the 55H will finish sixth. Derek Detterman will finish seventh. Chris Roney will finish eighth. Kevin Donlin will finish ninth, and Brandon Dietrich will round out the top 10. That'll be all for this week's edition of Rev It Up. Make sure you stay in tune with the Rev It Up YouTube channel, as we really have something exciting in the works for the Rev It Up Under the Helmet. Possibly 2 Rev It Up Under the Helmets coming out. We'll just have to see what keeps in the works here. And hopefully it stays together and talks with some really good drivers that you guys are really going to want to hear from. If we can both find time in our schedules to get an interview in, it should be really good. So keep in touch with Rev It Up's YouTube channel and follow Rev It Up on Facebook. It's going to be really good. So you've been listening to Rev It Up. To keep more up to date with Rev It Up, like, subscribe, and head over to Facebook and follow Rev It Up Podcast. You've been listening to an edition of Rev It Up.